Whenever entitlement comes to mind, we usually think about the image of a spoiled child throwing a tantrum because they didn't get their way. As a result of the rejection and their request being denied, they evidently lash out in a vain attempt to garner sympathy. This image typically fits the description of entitlement. However, we must realize that entitlement manifests itself in a myriad of avenues that go beyond the phenomenon of a spoiled child. For example, in this digitally connected age, there's no shortage of methods to attract attention. Instagram and other social media platforms have enabled people to pursue and receive validation at an unprecedented rate. When they receive it, this inevitably fuels the internal expectations that they're now entitled to continually receive attention from others. Social media aside, all the luxuries and leisure at our disposal compared to previous generations has also contributed to rising feelings of entitlement. For example, we no longer need to leave our homes to obtain various items. If you want food, then you can have your local grocery chain deliver it to you instead of having to shop in person. If you want clothes and other consumer goods, then you can have them shipped to your door in no time at all. Simply put, we don't need to expend as much effort to acquire goods and services compared to years past. This has unsurprisingly increased our laziness, but at the same time it has also paradoxically increased our entitlement. Instead of being grateful that we can receive packages from faraway places in an incredibly fast time frame, we become peeved if it takes an additional day to arrive. Perhaps this rise in entitlement isn't so paradoxical upon reflection, as our expectations have naturally shifted with the fast food and instant gratification times. Today's discussion will examine the philosophy, or rationale, of entitlement, with particular emphasis on where feelings of entitlement originate. Furthermore, it'll be asserted that we must keep these feelings in check if we wish to avoid misery and dissatisfaction. Ultimately, nobody is entitled to anything except death, because that's the singular outcome everyone is guaranteed to encounter at some juncture. Knowing this, we should be grateful for the time we have and the opportunities we're afforded during our finite existence. I'll begin with a brief story, one that demonstrates the phenomenon of entitlement in the real world quite well. I currently work at a recreation center, one that has a pool, ice rink, and gym, pretty much all the amenities that people have come to expect in a modern, big city recreation complex. Each section of the facility has different spaces to accommodate a plethora of different programs. Fitness classes, public skates, swimming lessons, you name a program and the facility will likely offer some variant of it. Anyway, I was in the pool one morning and a regularly scheduled aquatics class that generally caters to seniors was cancelled. The essentially last-minute cancellation was due to instructor illness and adequate coverage couldn't be found in time. Unsurprisingly, the participants who ventured to the pool weren't happy and some were very vocal with their displeasure, actively complaining and tangibly expressing their frustrations. Indeed, I'm sure it was frustrating for those people who made the effort to arrive and discover that their program was cancelled. Considering some have impaired mobility and can't get around easily, I can understand at least some of their frustrations. Nevertheless, I thought to myself at the time, and I still retain this belief, that some of these people are especially entitled. A situation didn't go their way, or turned out how they expected it to, and they evidently lashed out as a result. Such is life though, and nothing proceeds smoothly at every moment. Anyone who has lived for some time and possesses a basic level of awareness realizes this truth. We can't have our way all the time, and sometimes circumstances don't go as planned. This is frequently due to the multitude of factors we can't control, like the weather and other people as notable examples. The point is that you shouldn't expect to get your way all the time, and that everything will proceed smoothly all the time. Nor should you believe that you deserve anything meaningful without providing at least some effort to obtain it. Because if you do, you'll find that misery is a consistent companion as life will continually disappoint you. It's not all doom and gloom though, as we can obtain satisfaction and happiness if we're realistic about the situations we face. We can strive for better days, but we should also express gratitude for those that we've already experienced, because not everyone has been as fortunate. Digressing now, as the story highlights, feelings of entitlement often do exist in individuals much older than children. People who theoretically should know better, but they evidently don't know better. Why is that? Is it simply due to ignorance and arrogance? Are they entirely at fault for this, or can some of the blame be assigned to others? Perhaps elements of both, as we realize that upbringing plays a role in shaping these entitlement sentiments. A common example of this, that several others draw attention to is the millennial generation being told that they can have everything and be anything they want. Of course, being told these things in childhood and then entering the adult world is a different story. They have evidently found, unremarkably, that those sayings aren't true unless you rephrase them to say instead that you can have everything you want and be anything you want, but only if you're willing to make the necessary sacrifices to obtain them. Furthermore, you'll have to decide if you're willing to deal with all the obstacles and setbacks that'll inevitably arise in the process, as nothing of value is granted on a silver platter. Also, there's no guarantee that you'll obtain what you desire, even if you work hard to pursue it. Inevitably, their upbringing has set them up for failure, or to be immensely hindered because they were misled about how the world actually works. I must note that not every millennial was raised in this manner, and there are varying degrees, of course. It would be ignorant of me to single them out. Indeed, the phenomenon of parents and society setting up the next generation for failure isn't just true of the millennials, as it has affected previous generations and the current one, Gen Z, to comparable extents. No matter the individual, if you're consistently told that you deserve success, fame, or some other variable without having to provide notable effort and sacrifice, then you're eventually going to believe it. So, upbringing and the teachings of others certainly influences whether a person feels entitled or not. What else? The fact that our time is short and death will someday claim all of us is also another factor. We only have so much time, and because of this, we naturally value how we spend it. Like other people, I must admit that I hate having my time wasted. Whether that's standing in line to renew my driver's license for too long or being stuck in traffic, I'll become internally aggravated at some point. However, once again we should comprehend that these circumstances are no reason for us to be entitled and lose our cool unnecessarily. As others will correctly point out, there are numerous occasions where we consciously waste our time, like scrolling on our phones aimlessly when we should be doing something productive instead. Perhaps our time isn't too short, we just actually waste most of it because we're lazy, distracted, or following something we don't truly believe in. Something to note about this remark, though, is that what constitutes wasted time evidently possesses a subjective nature. An activity that someone finds enjoyment in may be denoted as pointless to another. Therefore, this leads to an understanding where you must use your discernment and decide how you should use your limited time, given all the extensive constraints that exist. To conclude now, there's no rational basis for being entitled, nor is it the best course of action for perceiving the world. Nothing goes our way all the time, and nothing proceeds how we would like it to all the time. If you get angry at every mishap, annoyance, and obstacle, then you'll be miserable for most of your life. So what should you do then? Should you not work hard and strive for what you want if nothing is guaranteed? No, because if you refuse to strive and sacrifice for anything, then nothing of value will ever be obtained. Vehemently pursue what you're striving for and make the necessary sacrifices. Hard work doesn't guarantee success, but success more often than not doesn't come about without hard work. Don't believe you're entitled to anything, and don't say, I deserve this, or I deserve that. When you've done your due diligence, put in the work, and seize the opportunities that have been granted to you, maybe then you can say you deserve the fruits of your labor. However, what you should do instead is humble yourself and pray to the good Lord above, saying, Thanks be to God for providing you with the strength and necessary tools to succeed. Additionally, be sure to thank Him for sending those people who helped you along your journey, because you sure as hell didn't do everything by yourself at every moment in time. Express gratitude for everything, because it can be taken away just as easily as it's granted.